Hey, happy Monday. Thanks for joining us to start your work week here with Hail Trace. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and today we are talking about storms officially returning to the forecast. Okay, that's going to bring a flood risk. It's also going to bring a high wind and tornado risk. Okay, those severe storms return today, but we have another chance for storms tomorrow as well. What about that winter weather? It is December 9th after all, and we still have winter weather going on in Colorado, mainly up in the upper elevations, but a few of those snowflakes could venture down closer to the lower elevations. As we get a little bit farther into December, we're starting to see a little bit more snow in the lower elevations. Okay, take a look at what's happening right now. These are yesterday's storm reports, okay? We didn't have anything severe yesterday. However, we did have a massive moist air pocket just start to move across the east, and that brought a good amount of rain. It also brought some snow. I see your comment. Thank you for joining this morning or this afternoon. Hello, and thank you for commenting. If you have any weather questions, put that in the comments section, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, and we'll be able to see your comment section or your comments on the screen. Yesterday, our rainfall totals, we talked about this last week that we were going to have a flood risk across the Gulf states. We've seen some pretty impressive rainfall totals, anywhere from Louisiana all the way up to Tennessee and Kentucky. That will continue today and tomorrow as that area moves up the East Coast, starting to bring in that flood risk all the way up to the east as well. Okay, taking a look at your snowfall totals yesterday, we got a little bit of snow a little bit closer to Denver. Some of these more impressive snowfall totals are outside of Denver in the upper elevations into the mountaintops. Yesterday, Rapid City, maybe a few flakes over there, but most of the snow stayed in the northern portion of the U.S. Yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of this snow stayed outside of Denver, so maybe if you drive a little bit farther to the south, you saw all of that snow. We were a bit warm yesterday, above average, okay? Maybe I can't call it warm, but I can call it above average for this time of the year through the Midwest, all the way to the plains, out to the west into Denver, Montana, Wyoming, all of these areas above average for this time of the year. Now that has cooled down just a little bit. Today we're below average in places like Colorado and still above average out to the Midwest. We do have a front moving through the U.S. right now, bringing some of that cool air with it. You can see that broken front anywhere from the middle of Oklahoma all the way out to the Midwest. So Chicago, your temperatures may be getting a little bit cooler as we head into the afternoon. I see questions about snowfall for winter. So we're going to be talking about the short-term forecast here. We will be talking about snow for you. You can actually see that snow up into New York. You can see all of that changing over from rain to snow in some of our northern communities. We're not seeing that lake effect snow as much as we were seeing it last week, but still we have a lot of areas across the U.S. that are included in those winter weather alerts. So we have a winter weather, let's see if this will pop up here. Winter weather advisory highlighted in purple. Another winter weather advisory highlighted in purple for our New England states where that rain was switching over into snow. Pretty quiet down in Florida, but then we have those storms that we're watching for out in the Gulf states. So we'll be talking about that and the hazards that come with that, the high wind, that tornado risk. What about hail? We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. Let's take a look at those current conditions. There you are. There's that rain changing over into snow. There's that area that we're watching for storms today. Pretty quiet out to the west. Pretty quiet out to the Four Corners as well. Current temperatures are sitting in the 30s out in Denver, 30s for most of the north and west. Temperatures are in the 50s here in Oklahoma City, 60s down in Dallas, and 70s in Houston. A little bit warmer as you get farther down to the south, and that is what's going to help to fuel all of these storms today. Temperatures getting into the 70s in some places. Really good dew points with this as well. It's going to take a lot of that Gulf moisture, push it up the East Coast, and bring us some rain in the middle of the work week up in the East Coast. But right now we are seeing some snow in this area. That will continue to track up to the north and east as we head into the afternoon hours tonight. Staying dry for the most part behind that, giving you a little bit of a break before that next wave comes in Tuesday into Wednesday. Now let's take you farther down to the south. Oh, we're talking about snow accumulations real quick. Here's your snow accumulations for our New England states, okay? We're talking 4 to 6 inches for some of us, maybe a bit less for others. There's your snow accumulations out in Colorado. Once again, this is going to be just outside of Denver. Denver looking like you're going to get very minimal to no snow. If you head a little bit farther down to the south, higher elevations, you will see better chances for higher snowfall totals. In some areas, we're talking about a foot plus, okay? So some people are going to get some really good snowfall totals out in Colorado. If you are closer to the city, you're probably going to get very, very little in terms of snow. Now let's talk about those storms, okay? Let's talk about those storms anywhere from Louisiana to Mississippi into Alabama tomorrow, okay? You can see we're still getting some really heavy rain. We've been getting heavy rain in this area. That will continue, keeping that flood risk at a level 2 for today, tomorrow, and then up to the north on Wednesday. There's your rainfall as we head into the next 24 hours. What about the biggest hazards here? Okay, what about that wind potential? What about that tornado potential? It's on the lower side. It's about 60, 65 miles an hour. Now, for a storm to become or to be deemed severe, it has to reach over that 58 mile per hour threshold. At that point, we could see some severe wind gusts. I don't think that this is going to be very widespread. This will be pretty isolated, which is why I have that risk level highlighted in green at a low level. Very similar to your tornado risk, where it will also be an isolated risk. Not all of these storms are going to have that tornado potential, but could two isolated storms have that potential? Yes, it's possible. What about in terms of hail? Well, that hail is going to be pretty small. Okay, I would say below the size of a quarter. If you're looking for severe hail, it's going to be above the size of a quarter, okay? We talked about the threshold for severe wind, higher than 58 miles an hour, hail higher than the size of a quarter or a quarter high or larger. I think that we're going to stay below that severe threshold. I think that going nickel size is a bit ambitious. I think that we're probably going to see smaller hail, if any, with these storms. So let's break down your severe weather threat. We just talked about that high wind threat, tornado threat, all in the low category. Large hail, very low, if anything at all. That flooding category is going to be the biggest thing that we're watching for over the next 2 to 3 days. So not just today, but over the next 2 to 3 days. We're even getting rain in places like Oklahoma, closer to the plains here, okay? Let's break it down for you. Today and tomorrow, the Gulf states get rain, okay? That's a level 2 risk for places like Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. As we head into, oh wait, I'm gonna go back just one slide here. Okay, here we go. As we head into Wednesday, you can see a lot of that rain will stretch up the East Coast and into our New England states. This is gonna warm you up a little bit. You're gonna take a lot of that Gulf air that's warm, it's moist, all the way up to our New England states. You get a break for one day from all of that rain across the US, and then our attention focuses back over Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, as storms initiate right over the state, right over Oklahoma, right over the plains, and then track to the east through the overnight hours Friday. Now I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit here, okay? Friday, that is so far away, but I want to give you that first look at the storms that we could see late this week. But let's go back. Let's go back to Tuesday and Wednesday. I talked about that flood risk that's stretching up to our New England states, a level 2, not snow, a rain, a flood risk on Wednesday, okay? So we have a little bit of everything up in the New England states. We have that winter weather today, and then we have that rain by the middle of the work week. Taking a look at your future radar here, now into Tuesday, because I mentioned that we have not only a risk for storms today, but also tomorrow. This is going to be a little bit farther out to the east in places like Alabama and Georgia. You can see that high instability shifts to the east as well. So we start out in Louisiana, we shift to the east to places like the panhandle of Florida, into Georgia here. The hail risk here, as I mentioned, it's so low. It's not very impressive. We see some spots of isolated yellow popping up here. That could be your marble-sized hail, maybe your nickel-sized hail. But again, I really think that you're going to see very small hail out of this, if anything at all. I think that you're probably not going to see any hail by any means. Probably some wind. That's going to be your biggest risk, okay? Just being honest. We want to give you an honest, straightforward forecast here. But again, taking a look at future radar, Monday night into Tuesday, we are still seeing rain. We are still seeing all of this rain in the system fueled by all that Gulf moisture here. This continues through Tuesday before we finally get a break in these areas, the Gulf states that have been getting rain over the past 24 hours. All of this will move up to the north. So that's what we're watching for as we head into the middle of the work week. All of this rain just over and over and over. The biggest risk being that flooding risk, but we still have that tornado risk here. On Tuesday, it's a low risk from Mobile all the way up to Columbus, but it's on the board. It's something that you need to be watching for. That high wind risk, another thing that we're watching for on Tuesday from all of those storms I just showed you, it's in the low category, highlighted there in green, but it's still possible, okay? We're probably talking 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts here. What about your future temperatures? Temperatures are in the 30s and 40s for a good portion of the U.S. This afternoon, as I mentioned, we've got that cold front coming through. It's going to cool us down just a little bit. Places like Chicago that were above average are probably dropping below average for tomorrow. Let's see. Chicago, your high tomorrow is staying in the 30s. Yeah, that is below average for you. Talking about temperatures out in Denver, we're still right about that freezing mark. Tomorrow afternoon here in Oklahoma City in the 40s. Tomorrow here in Oklahoma City should be the coldest day of the week, and we should be warming up after that. Getting into the 50s on Wednesday. Ooh, look at Bismarck on Wednesday. That's cold. That is a cold high for the day, 2 degrees. Single-digit temperatures in the afternoon in Bismarck. And now we're below zero through Bismarck and Minneapolis by early Thursday morning, as you see a lot of that polar air moving down into some of our northern communities. Now, this is when a lot of those storms are going to shift off to the east, bringing that flood risk up to the east by Wednesday afternoon in some of our northern New England states. But then on Friday, we're going to start to see those storms once again across Oklahoma, Kansas, moving to the east by Friday afternoon. You can see we're starting to warm up on Thursday and Friday as well. Mid-50s, we'll take it. At least it's not windy and in the 30s. But hey, you know what comes with those warmer temperatures that can help to fuel storms. We need temperatures a bit warmer, so we're still a few days out from knowing exactly what that's going to do on Friday, but it is something to keep your eye on. Alrighty, thanks for joining us today. Of course, we'll be watching the weather over the next 24 hours before your next forecast. And if anything happens, we'll be posting about it on your Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok pages. So feel free to follow us there. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter today, we do a behind the scenes on Instagram and TikTok. We're actually right off the side of the camera right now on Instagram and TikTok, so that's a great place to follow us and get some different content. If you're interested in a wind, hail, or tornado map, if anything pops up in Louisiana today, we'll be mapping it here at Hail Trace. So you can give us a call at 855-334-4245, or you can email us at info@hailtrace.com. You can even head over to our website to see what we are all about, see our wind and hail maps, hailtrace.com. All right, thanks for joining us on this Monday. Hope we could kick your work week off right. We'll be back here, same time, same place with the forecast tomorrow.